Hey, it's Thursday night, and I just had the best day. I don't even know what I was doing, but this afternoon I took my 8th grade daughter to the YMCA in Elizabeth City. We live in Edenton, North Carolina, to join the swim team. And so she tried it out and made it. I think everybody makes it. But she was excited and was with some friends, and it was fun to just ride in the car, and I went and got them Chick-fil-A and all the things. Anyway, it was nice, and came home, got my littlest Amos to bed, and anyway, I was like, oh, I was kind of giggling at different funny stuff that happened, and I started scrolling through Facebook, and I always get lots of messages, which is great, and I got a message about a little girl named Kallie Fag, and from Walnut Cove, North Carolina, which is pretty far from me. And she's also an 8th grader and started school at Southeastern Stokes Middle School. I have an 8th grader. I have a middle schooler. I have one daughter. And on her 3rd day of school, she went home and took her own life that afternoon. Holy cow. Bullying. Death by suicide is the second leading cause of death for children ages 10 to 18 in the state of North Carolina, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. Second cause of death for children ages 10 to 18. Just let that sit with you for a minute, because I had no idea of that statistic. I think we think about, I have 2 teenage boys. I think about car accidents. I think about drinking. I think about boating. I think about, I have a little boy with autism. I think about drowning. I just signed him up for swim lessons today. But do we go home at night and do we think my child's second leading cause of death, all 4 of my children, my youngest will be 10 in about a month, is suicide? Did you know that? Because I didn't know that. So I start digging into the story and I think, okay, well, we need to talk about this. And there's something when it hits home, at least for me, and this is Kallie right here. This is Kallie Fag, just a regular little girl in the 8th grade, Southeastern Stokes Middle School. And that's Kallie when she was a little thing. And there's a funeral home, and it's called Burroughs Funeral Home, and they put this up on their Facebook page, and this really hit me. You think of funeral homes for older people, maybe somebody that has cancer, maybe this is a big deal. But look what the funeral home put up on their Facebook page. To all students returning to school, if you see any of the following: another student struggling to make friends, another student being picked on, a student who is new, shy, or not with the in crowd, a student who is eating lunch alone, be a leader, be a warrior, say hi, smile at them, ask if you can sit with them, include them. You never know what that person is facing inside or outside of school. Wow. I am going to share that sheet. Callie's dad put up a Facebook post, and he said, I should be pushing my child to hurry up and get ready for school right now, not being sickened or terrified of the thought of stepping back foot into my own home. No one's child deserves to feel like they aren't good enough. No one's child deserves to feel like something is wrong with them when they try so hard just to be liked or loved. Yes, suicide. No one's child deserves to be constantly bullied and even picked on because they had a parent die. My daughter was absolutely a beautiful soul inside and out. No longer will I get to hear her come to me in her cute voice. No longer will I have the opportunity to walk her down the aisle and give her away, dance with her at her wedding. See, I told you someone would love you enough the way you wanted to be loved. To see all those years ago you were worried a boy would even like you, and now look at my beautiful angel. Me and her brother, who was her world, and her grandparents and her aunts and uncles will now wake up every morning for the rest of their lives with a huge hole in our hearts, a huge piece of our lives missing, wondering how much harder we should have loved her to give her the love she needed to feel okay. It's time people in this country put their feet down and say enough. We will not lose any more daughters or sons, any more friends, any more fathers or mothers. Enough. You know, that's Kallie Fagg's dad. Just the dad of a daughter and a son and a 13-year-old in North Carolina, Southeastern Stokes Middle School. And now that statistic has hit his family. And we shouldn't talk about it before it hits our family. Kallie died by suicide on the third day of school from pretty severe bullying. And I will tell you, I think our instinct is to want to just annihilate the bullies. But I think we have to understand what's happening in the bully's house. Are they being terrorized some way? What's happening? And so really, we have to be so aware of what children are going through and just notice. My oldest son, is working on his college essays. And one thing he talked about was having a brother with autism has made him more, I can't remember if it was perceptive or introspective or sensitive. Basically, he said, I have lived with someone who I have to really read their emotions. And he told the story about how at school he noticed a boy walking by with his head down. That was it. And he sat down alone at a table. And after a couple minutes, my son said, "Hey," to his name, "do you want to come sit with us?" And he said he gave this big grin and said, "Yeah." And I was reading that essay and I was like, is that really worth writing about? That just seems like a normal, nice thing to do. Did he really learn that because of autism? But then when I see something like this with Kallie, how do we make sure that our children are being kind? How do we make sure that our children are reaching out? So if our children are being bullied, we can do something about that. But the rest of us whose children are not being bullied, we can do I'm trying not to cuss because Facebook keeps suspending me. We can do a hell of a lot, right? Whether your child's at Southeastern Stokes Middle School or whether they're at my Chowan Middle School, is your child on Snapchat? Do you know what they're putting out there? Are they on TikTok? What are they doing? Are you aware of what your child's doing on social media? Because what the principals tell me is that it's their biggest problem at school. I'm just tired of parents not being parents. And my parents I'm not perfect, but I try really darn hard. So here's what the school said. If I were Kallie's dad, I don't know how this would make me feel. In addition to providing emotional support, the school administration will review and reassess policies and procedures surrounding students' well-being and safety. We want to ensure that all students feel secure and protected within the school environment. That is the worst statement I've ever heard. If you really gave a darn, you would be like, as a school system, we will not allow this to happen. We are on it. If somebody even looks the wrong way, that person is going to be off the football team cleaning toilets. That's what you're going to be doing. And we have video cameras, and we saw, we heard, we know. And it ain't happening around here anymore. It's not happening. We do not speak to people like that. Period. Kallie Reed Fagg, 13, passed away unexpectedly Wednesday afternoon, August 30th, at her home. So I lost my only sibling. He was 19 and I was 15 to cancer. And he fought like hell for a year. My parents fought so hard to try to save his life, and it didn't happen. And this just makes me think, I think we know we have to fight cancer, but I don't think most of us know that we have to fight bullying. Second leading cause of death is suicide for children ages 10 to 19. Kallie was a member of the First Christian Church and attended Southeastern Stokes Middle School. She was a light to all who knew her and had the biggest smile to offer. She loved her family, especially her brother Logan, who was also her best friend. Kallie was preceded in death by her mother, Allison. She is survived by her loving father, James or Jimmy, brother Logan, paternal grandparents, maternal grandparents, aunts and uncles. Her service is going to be Saturday at 2 p.m. And I tell you what, if anybody needs a lot of love tonight, it's Logan. Here he's lost his mother and now his sister. And he's a child, his mother and his sister. Please share your kindness using the hashtag #KindnessForKallie. I hope everybody out here will take a minute and talk to their children. You know, I just spent 2 hours in the car with a bunch of middle schoolers, and I didn't talk about bullying. But I tell you what, I will the next time we're in the car. How are y'all doing? I think, what do you do if the school won't stop it? I think you go higher and higher and higher. I think the problem is kids don't want to be tattletales. And, I've had my own children, not because of bullying, but they don't want me to complain. They don't want me to say anything. They don't want me to get involved. Then you send an anonymous note. You reach out to a teacher you trust. If you are feeling like you want to take your own life, you can text 988. That's an emergency line. And what we know is that suicide, like Kallie's suicide, this is not something that is planned. This is, I am so drowning in the moment, I don't think I have any other way out. Her name is spelled Kallie, Fagg, Fagg. Her dad is Jimmy, and her brother is Logan. So tomorrow night, they're going to have people come to their church from 6 to 9 at First Christian Church. And then they're having people at her grandparents' house. And then on Saturday at 2 p.m. Will be her funeral service. And anyway, I I think this is a really important discussion. I have a 13-year-old daughter. You know, I talked to her about her body and boys and biology and her math test tomorrow and the Spanish alphabet and swim team and scoliosis and autism. But have I given enough time to talk about what to do if you're bullied? And even more importantly, why you never, ever bully. And I think for parents to think, I remember there was a girl I picked on myself, 3rd or 4th grade, and she told her mother, and my mother came to pick me up from school early. And I tell you what, my mother never came to pick us up from school early. And in the car, we hadn't even left the parking lot, and she said, so-and-so's mother called me and told me. I was about 9. And I started crying. And I tell you what, I never did that again. That was the end of that. So don't think as a parent, if you're like, shoot, my child's maybe mean or they're doing this, stop it. Put a stop to it. Stop it. And if you are a school system, do not put out dumb statements like this, statements that read like they're from an old dictionary. Be honest and truthful and say, we are not doing this. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. And if you're on the football team and you were a part of this, you're not playing football anymore. No more football for you. It's done. It's done. Kids are sneaky. Well, sure, it's not always the school's fault, but I'm going to tell you something. Kids being sneaky, then no phone, no social media. Be a freaking parent. Be the parent. I have 3 teenagers. I know what I'm talking about. Ask my children when they've lost their phones. My children are guilty until proven innocent. And they are wonderful and nice and lovely. And they belong to a little person with special needs. And I tell you what, I can't imagine how you could become a bully living with someone with disabilities. I think it pretty much eradicates that type of behavior. And thank you, Lord, for Amos. One more reason to be thankful for him. Because we know how it feels to be excluded or left out, not even purposefully. But there are adults, and adults are around, and they know. If you were an adult, and if you were an adult in that Southeastern Stokes Middle School, if you're the superintendent in Walnut Cove, wake up and grow a backbone and talk to parents in a way like you give a rat's you know what. Just genuinely give a darn. Because it really, really matters. Talk to your kids. #kindness for Kallie. Talk to your kids.